Welcome to another bonus edition of Upon Further Review.
Upon further review,
And in this edition, we'll be talking about the San Francisco 49ers at the St. Louis Rams. And this week's 6 matchup will be happening on October 13th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can catch that on Monday Night Football on ESPN. And the Niners are heading into this game with a record of 3-2, and the Rams are 1-3. And so far in the season, the Niners started off by going to Dallas and they beat the Cowboys in week 1. But then they lost their next 2 games as they lost their home opener, the first time ever in Levi Stadium, to the Chicago Bears. And then they went on the road to Arizona and they lost to the Cardinals. But since then, they've won 2 games in a row as they beat both Philadelphia and Kansas City in Levi Stadium. They're in San Francisco, actually Santa Clara, but right there in that Bay Area. And now they're heading to the Midwest as they're going to St. Louis, Missouri to face the Rams. The Rams, they've had a different road. They started off by losing to Minnesota. They got wiped out by the Vikings at home. And then they went to Tampa Bay and they actually won a close game. They beat the Bucks by 2 points down there in Florida, their only win of this season. And then they actually hosted the Cowboys and they lost by just a field goal to Dallas. And Dallas, if it wasn't for losing to San Francisco in week 1, the Cowboys would be undefeated. But they nearly lost to the St. Louis Rams. Then they had their bye week, and then they went to Philadelphia where they lost by just 6 points to the Eagles. And now they host the Niners on Monday Night Football. And it's going to be a tall order for St. Louis if they're going to have any chance to win this game. I actually don't give them much of a chance. I think the Niners are going to win. But it is possible. You never know. The Rams could potentially win. They're going to have to get a big effort out of Austin Davis and Zach Stacy. Zach Stacy is banged up, but he did fully participate in practice, and it looks like he will be a go for this game, although we will see as the game approaches. They will be, though, without Tremaine Johnson and Brandon McGee in their secondary, and so you know that Colin Kaepernick should have a good day through the air, throwing to his targets Anquan Bolden, Michael Crabtree, Vernon Davis. Although Vernon Davis is injured himself, he did have some limited participation in practice, so he is questionable. So we don't know how much Vernon Davis will see in this game or if he will step on the field, although it looks like he might, but we shall see. Although, I don't know if they're really going to necessarily want to put him out there when they should be able to win without him. They will be without Tremaine Brock, though, out there in the secondary as he remains out. So that's the injuries. Let's look at the stats heading into this game. And for the Niners, when it comes to passing offense, that is their Achilles heel. They're 26th in the NFL when it comes to pass the ball. St. Louis, though, that is their strength, is the passing game. They're 6th in the NFL when it comes to offensive passing yards per game. And we look at the passing defense. The Niners are 7th, so they're top 10. They've got a really good pass defense. And the St. Louis Rams are actually number 1 when it comes to passing yards allowed in the NFL. As hard as that may be to believe, but it is true. So the Rams, they have an incredible pass rush. And even though they've got some injuries in their secondary, they allow the least amount of yards through the air. So the definite advantage when it comes to passing the ball has to go to St. Louis. Even though that's historically, the Niners have been one of the greater passing teams in football. But let's look at the runs. The rushing offense, as it were. And when it comes to the rushing offense, the Niners are 3rd in the NFL when it comes to rushing yards per game. And the Rams are 19th. So the Rams struggle to run the ball. Zach Stacy has been having a disappointing year. And the Niners, they continue to have a great rushing attack. Frank Gore, one of the top running backs in the league. Colin Kaepernick, one of the top rushing quarterbacks in the NFL, even historically when it comes to the postseason. But when it comes to the rushing defense, the Niners are third against the run, and the Rams are 29th. So the Rams, that's their Achilles heel, is they cannot stop the run. And when they're going against Frank Gore, and even Hyde can run the ball too, and of course Colin Kaepernick, those guys should all have some pretty good numbers on the ground against the Rams. And Zach Stacy, he's banged up, and he's been struggling so far this year, and it looks like his struggles will probably continue against this Niners defense that is definitely one of the top in the league. They're third, as I said. Now let's look at points for and against. And both of these teams, they struggle to score. The Niners are 20th in the NFL in points per game, and the Rams are 22nd. Of course, the Niners, their strength is obviously on their defense. And when it comes to points allowed, they are 10th. So they're in the top 10. They're right there at 10. And the Rams, they are 30th. There's only two teams that are worse than the Rams. They're the third worst when it comes to points allowed. So the Niners, even though they struggle to put up points, the Rams give them away. And so the Niners should be able to put up points on the board. Of course, it'll be interesting to see how they do against the Rams passing defense, but I think with the injuries, they're going to catch up to the Rams, and they're going to be running the ball so good that if they can incorporate some play action, they should have no problem passing the ball against St. Louis. St. Louis also, although the Niners are a really good passing defense and just really good defensively all around, I still think the Rams should be able to put up some yards through the air. Of course, if they get down early, they're going to just have to rely on the pass, and so that will lead to big numbers for Austin Davis. And he has been putting up some pretty big numbers. In the last two games for the Rams, Austin Davis has gone over 300 yards. In Week 3 against the Cowboys, he threw for 327 yards. And then in Week 5 against the Eagles, he threw for 375 yards. So although he is the third option there in St. Louis after Bradford went down and Hill went down, Austin Davis looks like he just might be the St. Louis Rams' answer at quarterback. Of course, they need to have that running game, get it going. Is Zach Stacy, he's got the talent. I don't know, it's got to be the blocking is really the problem. I mean, he is, getting a 4.2 per carry, but he's just not really getting the carries. A lot of that has to do with the fact that the Rams are always playing from behind. And if you look at the totals, the Rams throw the ball 156 times versus 104 running attacks, running plays, and Stacy's only rushed the ball 53 times so far this year. Said injuries is, somewhat part of the issue too. And for the Niners, they're actually one of the few teams in the NFL that runs the ball more than they pass the ball, is they have 162 rushes versus 151 passes. So that's actually definitely a break from the norm. And Colin Kaepernick, he has more rushing yards than a lot of running backs, as he has 205 yards on the ground this season. He's also thrown for over 1,000 yards, so he's having a really good year. Of course, he can work a little bit on his protection. He's thrown 4 interceptions, but that's not too bad, especially when you consider he's thrown almost twice as many touchdowns. He's got 7 so far on the year, which that's definitely a number the Niners would like to see increase. But he's definitely improving, working on that, his passing game. He's definitely one of the better running quarterbacks, as I said earlier. Of course, they need to give him that pass protection to give him time in the pocket. And against the Rams, that is going to be somewhat of an issue, as the Rams have some pass rushers for sure. They don't have a lot of sacks on the year, but they do have a lot of talent, up front in their front four. Robert Quinn, he has yet to get a sack on the year, which is actually pretty amazing. As last year, he had, a lot. He was like, I think, second in the NFL, or first. He was in the top 5 for sacks, and now he's struggling to get a sack. Of course, teams are keen to that, so they're double teaming him, and teams are trying to get rid of the ball quicker against the Rams, and they run the ball a lot against the Rams as well, as you see with the stats. That's why they're they allow so many yards on the ground, whereas they don't really allow a lot through the air. Either way, I think the Niners should take this game. Maybe Austin Davis can make it interesting, but the Niners, they should win this one potentially by double digits. Of course, on Monday night, sometimes they seem to let teams back in the game. So maybe we see the Rams make a late, comeback attempt, as they seem to do, but I think they'll fall short if that does happen. Either way, I think the Niners win. It could be close, but don't be shocked if they jump out to a quick lead early, and a lot of people might end up changing the channel at that point. Of course, I'm gonna stick around for the whole game, regardless. Love it, love football. Again, you never know what's gonna happen. Like, you never turn the channel to the final moment, because anything is possible. It's never over till it's over. Either way, that's what I think. I think the Niners take this game. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Very interested to hear your opinions. And hit the like button if you enjoyed the show. And make sure to subscribe if you want more content, because we do recaps and upon further reviews for each and every single game, each and every single week in the NFL. We also do a weekly show, The Wedge, where we have quick picks, fantasy fortune, fantasy football picks, along with a weekly review. And we also do the Thursday night upon further review on The Wedge. So look out for that. And we're also covering the baseball playoffs all the way through the World Series and college football as well. So thank you very much for listening. I greatly appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the show and are having a good day and had a great weekend, and enjoy Monday Night Football.